I joke that in my 20s and 30s, I was too busy sleeping in my makeup and having fun, burning the candle at both ends. And I don't regret any of that.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that I've lived through an era of skincare that goes beyond marketing and hype and is about science. Because for me, I've seen beyond the velvet rope. Like, I've been at the labs and I now realize that there's a lot of smoke and mirrors around beauty, and that's not what I'm about.
I'm Susan Yara, and welcome to My Life Online. We're gonna have a lot of fun and learn a lot together. I've been in the beauty industry for over 20 years, so you can bet that I've seen lots of different trends come and go, especially when it comes to cosmetic procedures and also skincare. But my guest today, Nadine Baggott, has been in the industry even longer, for over 30 years. She's also a beauty icon in the UK because she's just been doing this for so long as a beauty journalist and also a content creator and a presenter. So today's conversation is really fun because we are going to talk about some of these skincare and cosmetic procedure trends that we've seen online, especially what we think is good, what we think is bad, and also what we would do differently in our 20s, 30s, and 40s and beyond, knowing what we know now. All right, Nadine, I'm so excited to have you here. I know you've been in the industry forever and you have so much experience. Tell us a little bit about it.
So I have been in the beauty industry for 35 years.
Okay.
And it was sort of by design, but sort of by accident.
Okay.
So I graduated from university. I knew I wanted to be a journalist because you've got to realize that when I graduated from university, glossy magazines were short of being a jazz singer or a Meryl Streep. The most glamorous thing I could ever imagine doing with zero skills was to work on a glossy magazine. So I left university, I did various different dead-end jobs, but knew that's what I wanted to do, and then got my first job on a magazine and slowly worked my way up. And then you land on a magazine surrounded by all these gorgeous women. Like, I worked for a publishing company with 29 floors of beautiful, beautiful women, and maybe the occasional very handsome gay man. Like, no straight guys were there. It was the opposite of, imagine, a banking world. And I thought, this is great. I love magazines. They're amazing. But there's some particularly glamorous women over there. What office are they in? And I was in features. And somebody said to me, oh, that's fashion and beauty. And the fashion girls weren't very friendly and the beauty girls were just amazing. And I thought, okay, this is the perfect combination of glamour and science, reporting and creating images. That's what I want to do. So that's when I then decided to work my way up through beauty.
I was saying this in the intro that I have been in the industry for a long time too, and I have seen so many trends come and go when it comes to skincare and cosmetic procedures. I'm sure you've seen a lot and you've taken note. So just kind of hopping right into it, now that we know what we know, what would you change thinking back on like your 20s and your 30s? Like, what are the things that you're recommending to people when they're asking you, what should I be doing?
And I know it's a cliche, but I have to say that I have lived through the years when you used an SPF just to go on holiday. And it's my biggest regret.
Yeah.
And this is even as a beauty editor. People think, oh, beauty editors have always worn SPFs. No, we went to presentations at really big companies and we were told just to take those SPFs on holiday. We really were. And, wearing an SPF 8 was like, oh, that's so high. You're crazy. At 15, you'll never get a tan. The aim was to get a tan, which was crazy. So I regret that. But I don't regret the fact that I didn't have tweakments till my 30s and 40s. In fact, I had Botox for the first time when I was 43. And I remember, and people were beginning to sort of dabble in it. And I don't regret. I don't really believe in all that preventative treatment. I think it's crazy. I joke that in my 20s and 30s, I was too busy sleeping in my makeup and having fun, burning the candle at both ends. And I don't regret any of that.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that I've lived through an era of skincare that goes beyond marketing and hype and is about science. Because for me, I've seen beyond the velvet rope. Like, I've been at the labs and I now realize that there's a lot of smoke and mirrors around beauty, and that's not what I'm about. So it's a combination of not regretting doing things earlier, but regretting spending too much time in a thong in the south of France with an SPF 6 Ombre Solaire, 4 Ombre Solaire, probably when I was 17, desperately trying to lose my virginity.
Yeah. I don't know if that's, is that a regret or does that sound fun? That sounds fun.
It was great fun, but try being 5'11" at 17 or 18 and flat-chested. No man was interested.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I have a hard time believing that no man was interested.
Oh, guys always like the curvy, gorgeous girls, the petite girls. Anyway, it was mainly about the sun damage, trust me.
Yeah, I get it. So for 20s, we're saying, don't regret having some fun.
Don't regret having fun. Don't regret sleeping in your makeup. It's really not going to be that difficult to overcome that. As you get older, you can learn to cleanse your face. Sunbathing is a bad idea. Apart from that, everything else is pretty temporary, right?
Yeah.
We all had the bad eyeliner, the bad lip liner. We've done it all. It's fine.
But you know what? So, okay, fine. My generation, your generation, we tanned. Mm-hmm. And I still think that this generation tans, but
I think they do.
But not as intensely as we were putting on baby oil and stuff, right? But the thing that I find alarming for women in their 20s, and not just women, we see everybody kind of getting into this now. You mentioned tweakments. We call it tweakments, meaning we're just getting these tiny little tweaks. We're seeing women in their 20s change their faces.
I think the more we normalize tweakments, because tweakments sort of makes it seem slightly inoffensive and you don't have to worry about it and it's temporary. For me, that's a big red flag. We shouldn't normalize something that's a procedure, even if they consider it a non-invasive procedure. We shouldn't normalize it as being, therefore, you don't have to think about it, it's throwaway, it's temporary, don't worry about it.
That is not sleeping in your makeup.
That's not sleeping in your makeup. And I think a lot of young people all end up looking the same because somebody has a view of what somebody should look like. So they all have the same noses, the same lips, the same cheeks, the same eyebrows. And I think that's worrying. And I call that the Kardashianization of beauty. And that's not necessarily a poor reflection. I think the Kardashians are a beautiful collection of women, but not everybody needs to look like Kim Kardashian. It's crazy. And I think, or Kylie Jenner or any of those people. And I think there should be a celebration of looking unique. I'm glad I wasn't around in my 20s and 30s because I'm sure I'd have been tempted to do the same, have the same body, have the same nose, have everything. But I think that for my generation, when probably you do need or you want more tweakments, to think that they're throwaway and that they won't go wrong is a big mistake. It's a big mistake. Listen, I've had the best aesthetic doctors in the world work on my face. And I've had the spot brows and I've had the under eye filler that had to be dissolved, that became all puffy and I got malaredema. If that's happening to me, and people should be careful what they do to my face because I'm the public face of this industry, what's happening to all of my followers that are following in that road? And that worries me. And I really hope we end up coming full circle back to celebrating individual beauty.
I actually think we're starting to slowly see that a little bit. I think TikTok, as much as it has pushed really terrible trends in aesthetics, I think you're also seeing people who might not have been considered classically pretty or something are starting to become popular. People don't put on makeup. They look like they just rolled out of bed and they have these conversations on camera on TikTok. And I feel like that's been the most refreshing thing to see.
I can only be hopeful trends come and go and that this trend goes. But the more we normalize tweakments, and that's such a sort of fey way of saying you're about to get something injected into your face. You're about to have an energy device that is going to work on your skin. You might need downtime. Don't think that you're going to pop in at lunch and then pop back to work.
Right, because remember that in the industry, it used to be like the lunchtime procedure.
Yeah, absolutely. And now we've got things like weird implants that go in via the armpit that are proper silicone implants. And you've got mini facelifts on women in their early 40s.
Which are truly just facelifts.
Absolutely.
Right?
They cost £25,000. It's crazy.
The price that I've been hearing on facelifts lately, I'm like, wait a second.
But I think that then we thought of it as being something that sort of a woman of a certain age did. But now to consider, I don't know if I can say this, but there's a rumor going around that Kylie Jenner's had a facelift.
I have heard this rumor.
And the rumor is that she had too much filler in her face. She stretched her young skin. It couldn't go back. And then she had to have this mini tweak. And then I just had to go away and Google, how old is Kylie Jenner? She's like 28 or 29. This way madness lies.
Yeah.
And I am so pro-surgery.
Yeah.
If you want to do whatever you want to do, good on you. You can have an amazing amount of work done. That's fine. But just at a time when you should be so full of youth and hope and optimism to go under the knife, it just depresses me.
All of it. And I think that whether it's true or not about the Kylie Jenner thing.
I don't know. She's looking phenomenal.
She does look really great lately.
The pictures at the gala with her and her sister, they just looked great together.
Yeah.
But really all she's doing is returning back to
what she was.
What she used to look like.
And see, this is what I'm even going through this, right? Like I've been dissolving my filler.
I've had so much filler dissolved out of my face.
So much. And I feel better.
Yeah.
Well, and so what I was going to say about Kylie Jenner is that whether she's had a facelift or not, women in their 20s really should be considering this, that when you are using dermal fillers, like your hyaluronic acid fillers, and you're overdoing it, especially in your 20s, you are stretching your skin. I kind of think of it like blowing up a balloon.
Yes.
When it deflates, it's not ever back to the original size that it was.
I mean, even when you're younger and you have the ability to create new collagen, one of the things we say to anybody if they want to age well is, whatever your weight, keep it stable, because the weight gain and the weight loss is bad for your skin. And in a way, that's what filler does. And I just think, I just want to get back to 20-year-olds looking the way I looked when I was 20, which was a bit of a hot mess. But hey, you're 20, you're having fun. Don't worry about it.
I know. And that's the problem I've seen with social media is I feel like young girls in their teen years are starting to, they're not even going through the awkward phase anymore, where they have like braces and hairy legs still and frizzy hair. They all
bad
look
perms
like, they all
that
look,
we went through.
Exactly. They all look perfect.
Yeah.
And it's alarming because they look
too much
older.
pressure.
I will say in my 30s.
How old were you when you first had
my son?
Botox?
Botox.
Or any
I was
treatments
actually
at all?
30.
Okay, that's
I was
so young.
literally 30. So I started.
But I do think where you live in America is very different to where we are.
I was in Los Angeles. Yeah.
So Los Angeles, New York, Miami, I'm sure if you were living in Kansas, it'd been different. The only reason I was 43 is because I'm considerably older than you, and nobody was doing Botox in their 30s then.
Yeah.
I mean, probably the early beauty editors did it when they were 38, 39. So for 43 was pretty normal for me.
Yeah, 40, I mean, even at 30, I remember I got it the first time and I felt like I looked too severe. I felt like I looked a little witchy actually because my eyebrows were so pointy.
Mine do that, the Spock thing.
Yeah.
Oh.
I looked a little witchy. So I don't think I went back for Botox for about a year. And then it's truly, I feel like I started to notice my skin really, really changing after my first child.
Totally.
So I was pregnant around 34, 35. And that's when I had to stop everything. No Botox. Stopped using a retinoid, whether you can or not, whatever. I stopped. So
then you had a baby.
And then
you
I
were
had a baby.
totally sleep deprived.
Sleep deprived. Weight loss.
Totally.
Suddenly. I went big to then small, right? Really fast. And that's when I suddenly realized I was like, okay, I need to start working on my, and I got melasma for the first time. And that was
true
huge.
of all my friends with babies. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was truly, so about 35 was when I really started to get super serious.
Honestly, that's probably about the right age. Yeah. Mid to late 30s, then you think about it.
Yeah.
And then you think, okay. And also at that point, you've got a sense of perspective. You know what it's like to be really young and to be able to get away with sleeping in your makeup. And as you get older, you can't get away with, mistreating your face and your skin and your hair and all those things that you used to do when you were younger.
Yeah.
And that's when I think you start thinking about having tweakments.
Totally. Well, let's get into like 30s, 40s, right?
Okay.
And procedures.
Yeah.
Right? Because again, this is probably, in my mid-30s is probably when I realized I truly needed to do a few things, not necessarily go crazy. I have dissolved as much as I can my hyaluronic acid.
Have you ever had an MRI
fillers.
To show your filler?
I just did an ultrasound where they showed it, and I had dissolved it twice a few years ago.
I have so much filler left in my face.
Yes.
It is shocking. More than I ever remember having put in. Now, once, a doctor who shall remain nameless, but has a very famous Purslane hyaluronic acid overpriced skincare line, gave me a liquid facelift. It went horribly wrong. She would not come back and dissolve it. I then went back to my original aesthetic doctor who went, Nadine, what are you thinking? Dissolved as much as possible. And then I find out actually that 50% of it is still in my face.
I just did this ultrasound, and because my injector, she's been doing, like all the biostimulators are on, right? She's been doing Renuva on me because I was like, I'm done with the hyaluronic acid fillers. And so she's been doing the Renuva on me, and she felt like in my cheek area, it wasn't really doing much. So she goes, I've been looking at your videos, and I have these natural, I can't remember what she called it. Animation deformation. That's what she calls it. And she said that.
I love that.
Yeah. She said that I probably have old filler that's so deep, it blocks the ligament and the fatty pads, like the fat pads that we have in our cheek area. So it causes these natural divots in my face to stand out more. And so she was like, let me just ultrasound you. She ultrasounds me, and sure enough, deep in there is all this filler that I thought I dissolved. So she did it again, which was brutal because then you look like Skeletor for like 3 weeks.
No.
You do a little bit because it dissolves your own hyaluronic acid too, and then it has to build back.
That's true. I regret, with the exception of my lips, I regret every single mil of filler that's ever gone into my face.
I do too. And I wish—
Don't do it.
And this is where it
Step
goes back
away
to—
from the filler.
Exactly.
And if you and I are thinking this, and we have the best doctors in the world working on us. What is the average consumer going through here and now?
Like if they go see just like a random med spa and who knows who these injectors are.
Or with filler, a beauty therapist or a hairdresser. Totally unregulated in the UK and the EU.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
It's scary.
It really is. And people should consider it. Again, there are people that dermal fillers work for. And I think a lot of the botched looking celebrities we've seen over the years, I want to say they all look like they just had too much filler in their face.
100%.
That's not surgery that did that to them.
Or migrated filler that just looks strange. Love her, but Jennifer Aniston is a perfect case in point. You know, somebody needs to go in and dissolve filler, but also at some point, and I am totally pro-surgery, at some point you've got to stop inflating the balloon and make the balloon smaller, which means surgery. You have to. That skin can only stretch and go back and only stretch and go back, and then eventually you need a facelift. If that's the way you decide you want to go.
30s and 40s, the treatments we would recommend though. What's something that you love?
I'll be really honest with you, I'm so old. Treatments were barely around in my 30s, but in my 40s, IPL 100%. I love IPL. I love Fraxel laser. I'm not a huge fan of ultrasound because I think you need a really good practitioner because I think you can get fat necrosis.
So we're talking Ultherapy, soft wave.
Totally.
What's the other
one? And I
Thermage.
had Ultherapy, and not only was it painful, I'm convinced I got a little bit of fat necrosis. I think probably if you're in your 30s or 40s and you've got a full face and you want a slimmer face, that's fine. But by the time you're my age, you want to hold on to every little bit of subdermal fat there is there.
I tell people this all the time.
It's so useful for a face. Who was it who said, I had this conversation the other day with my followers and we were trying to decide who said at some point in your life you've got to, was it Cher said you've got to decide between your face and your ass. And I would rather carry like a little bit of extra weight around my lower half and have a fuller face. So yeah, for me, energy devices in the right hands can be transformative, especially if you have sun damage.
Well, I think the right hands is always the key.
The skill. Yeah, the skill. It's with everything, with Botox, with filler, with energy-based devices. It's a combination of the procedure, the product, and the skill of the injector. Yeah. It just is. Yeah. And, a delicate light hand is so important.
Oh, yeah. And starting slowly.
You can always go back. Try not to then have to go back and have it all dissolved. Yeah.
I know that you said that you didn't get Botox until
43.
I do think sometime in your 30s, that's when people usually start to come to me and they're like, what should I get done?
I would say exactly the same. The only reason I was 43 is because I'm over 20 years older than you probably. That's why it wasn't really known to be available. But I had friends that had it in their late 30s and they still look phenomenal now.
Yeah. I get so many people that are like, I would rather not do Botox or any of the neurotoxins, right? Like Dysport, Xeomin, any of them. And they
isn't it funny how people are so scared of it?
Yeah,
and for me, if I could choose two tweakments, I would have probably Fraxel laser and Botox. That's it. Everything else can just go away.
Even the people that are like, oh, I don't want to do something so invasive. They just think it's so intense to get Botox.
And it's really not.
It's not. It's
Try having radio frequency microneedling. That's a lot more unpleasant and doesn't really do anything.
Yeah. You don't think it does anything?
No. I think it's good for skin texture. So I think it's good for crepey skin, but it's not going to lift a jaw. If you've got to the point in your life where you're doing this and this, trust me, you need a facelift. There isn't a tweak in the world that's going to do that.
I know. Trying to prevent facelift. That's where I'm at in my age. So I'm 43.
Yeah.
So I've been like trying to maintain as much as possible.
19 years younger than me, right?
But I mean, and you look fabulous.
Thank you. So do you.
Thank you.
But I do think I think two things. One, I think the better you look after your skin in your 30s and 40s and early 50s, the more you can delay having a facelift. But any surgeon will tell you that you really only can get the great outcome from a facelift if you look after your skin. They can drape all the skin in the world, but if the skin is poor quality, if you haven't looked after your skin, if it's sun damaged, if it's lined, if you've got no good subcutaneous fat, you're not going to get the best outcome. Yeah. You're really not. I mean, look at Cher. I mean, that's amazing, right?
For sure.
She's still my beauty icon. I love that look.
I mean, she looks amazing. But I think people don't understand that. I see people make comments about this all the time on my social media.
They see people have surgery and they say, well, what do you know about
skincare?
You have Botox. What do you know about skincare? It doesn't make any difference. They're fundamentally different things.
Yep.
Right?
Yes.
I always describe it as being a really well-made hospital bed or a really well-made bed in Claridge's, right? So your skincare is your duvet cover and maybe your duvet, right? Okay. And then aesthetics is your mattress, right? Okay. But underneath that, the bedstead and everything like that, that's surgery. Yep. And at some point, if you're going to look like Cher, you're going to have all three worked on.
Yep.
But you can make the best bed in the world, but if you've got a crinkled old duvet cover, it's going to look like rubbish.
Yeah. Okay, so your two favorites you said were
I would
neurotoxin
say some sort of energy-based Fraxel device, probably for things like solar keratosis or sun damage, and some sort of neurotoxin.
Yeah.
We use the term Botox but it's generic. It's like Hoover for vacuum cleaner or sellotape for sticky tape. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then once you're sagging, surgery.
Yeah, absolutely. If people come to me and say, the most common thing I get from my followers, and my followers are obviously that much older than the average social media follower. If they say to me, well, like I'm thinking about radiofrequency microneedling, I say, I've got jowls and stuff like this. Or if somebody says to me, I've got really bad lower eye bags, and I say, do they come and go, or are they there the whole time? Because if they're there the whole time, you're going to need a bleph. There's only so much a cosmetic can do, and I think there's only so much treatments to do, and eventually, you've kind of got to have surgery. And also, you're looking at celebrities in the public eye who lie about having treatments and surgery, and pretty much if anybody looks great at a certain age, you know that they've had a lot of work done.
I mean, I talk about Jennifer Lopez all the time. I'm sure people are so sick of me because I always just want to know, what is she doing? Because she doesn't share any of the information.
And it's not her olive oil-based skincare, 100%.
No.
And do you know what's so clever about people like Jennifer Lopez is you never see her change.
I know.
You never see somebody go a little bit too far and then they pull it back. You just think, whoa, like Cher.
Yeah.
So for your generation, it's Jennifer Lopez, and for my generation, it's Cher. I don't ever, with the exception of seeing her before and after a nose job, I don't ever remember her changing.
It's just consistent.
It's fascinating and beautiful work.
Have you ever done soft wave? I know you don't love ultratherapy.
Not a great energy. I have friends that have had it done and said it's excruciating.
Soft wave?
Yeah.
I just had it done and I loved it. And I remember sitting there or laying there thinking, I wonder if this is something that Jennifer Lopez does every 3 months. Like just owns a device like this.
Best gossip. So for my generation, she's the same age as me. I absolutely adore Demi Moore.
Yeah.
Somebody told me that in the basement of her house, she has every full-size gadget known to mankind. So she had a radio frequency device and she had an IPL device. So these machines cost between 50 and 100,000 pounds. Basically, she's just got it so she never has to leave, and then the doctor comes in and treats her. And that when you see somebody my age who doesn't have wrinkled knees and legs, and you're thinking they're treating their upper knee the way I'm treating my face.
Right.
I want to be Demi's friend and go over and party at her house.
I mean, if I had that kind of money, I would absolutely own every single device.
Totally.
Because these are the soft wave. I think what was so surprising to me, I didn't find it very painful. They did numb me, and then they had it's like that, it blows like cold air onto your face. Yeah. They had that also, but I didn't have any downtime.
Why would you need the cool air if it's soft wave? That's just ultrasound, right?
I think it just numbs your face.
Oh, right.
It's kind of so cold.
It distracts you.
Exactly. It's so cold that you're not feeling anything. So that was it wasn't to cool it down. It was just to almost like numb. Let's talk about, you brought some of your favorite beauty products, right? Let's talk about them. Is this skincare or is this
just skincare.
Okay, so let's talk about your favorite skincare. Oh,
look at this.
I love this.
People. Yeah.
I like
so
this
I
box.
have some non-negotiables in skincare.
Okay.
Right. Okay. I do love a microfiber cloth.
Me too.
I love a microfiber cloth.
You know who introduced me to microfiber cloths and I never turned back? Jordan Samuel. Jordan Samuel Skincare.
Do you know I nearly put the matinee cleanser in here?
Oh,
I love it.
It is really, really nice.
Do you know it divides people because obviously it's not great for the environment.
Yeah.
Even though the beauty industry is so much less polluting than the fashion industry, which I'm really passionate about. But I do wash it in something called a guppy bag, which catches all the bits of fluff. And I just think it super sizes any cleanser. It really does.
I think so too.
And I just love like a gel cleanser in the morning, a cream cleanser at night.
So these are CeraVe and
That's CeraVe, a hydrating facial cleanser, and Hada Labo, that's the cream cleanser. I'm not really great on spending a lot of money on cleansers.
Okay.
Do you know what as well? The other day, Caroline said to me,
for people who don't know, who's
Caroline Hirons. Okay. So I was on her podcast the other day and she said to me, if you had to go into a store, so she said, if you have to go into Superdrug, you have to go into Boots, you have to go into Space & K, what would you buy? And she said, if you lost your job tomorrow, because obviously I'm incredibly lucky and I get sent so much for free, what would you buy in Space & K? And I went, I'm not sure I'd shop in Space & K. And she went, really? And I said, I think I might be a bit cheap when it comes to skincare. And then I went, I take it back, Naturium. And the amount of times I have said to people, you need to check out this brand in Space & K. But don't let the fact that it's in Space NK put you off. It's so reasonably priced. So I've got quite a few of Naturium products. First step would be a hydrating serum. And I have to say, for me, I do love a vitamin C first thing in the morning. Mm-hmm. So that C Frulit, which is ridiculously expensive. Do you know Poems of a Lab?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Stephen's brand.
That's Stephen's brand. And I love Stephen. I feel very, very protective towards him. I feel like he's sort of long lost Asian mum, even though he has a natural mum, but if he ever comes over here. So I have to use a vitamin C mainly because of sun damage and pigmentation.
I want to feel it. I haven't felt it yet. Oh, yeah. It's very
bacony. But that doesn't bother me. Yes, it does. Over time. But it's a nice texture. It's very easy. So it's a strong L-ascorbic acid with Frulic. So I really love it. So I've got that. Then for me, I have to have a peptide. So on top of the vitamin C, I have to have a peptide, and I've got various different ones here.
Why a peptide? Tell people why you like them.
Why a peptide? Because I feel like the peptide is the unsung hero of skincare. You're not going to get the same instant results you're going to get from a vitamin C or a retinaldehyde or anything like that, but I think slow and steady wins the race with peptides. And I just think they trick the skin into repairing itself. That's exactly what they do. They send a little signal down into the skin that says, I'm damaged, but you're not damaged. And then the skin boosts its production of collagen, hopefully fibrillin as well. I love number 7 Future in You.
I haven't used that one.
Okay, so this is the pump action, and the pump's not as good as the cheap tube. Seriously, that texture is the dream. So I'm not sure if it even works. You might need to take the top off because it's not that good. Unscrew it and take it off because obviously there's no reason.
Oh, the Naturium Multipeptide Advanced Serum. That's my holy grail product. Like if I have to choose only one.
Really? Over a vitamin C and a retinaldehyde?
I would, yeah. That
so
one.
My non-negotiables are a gentle cleanser, a vitamin C, a peptide, and then probably an SPF in the morning. And I would put an SPF on in place of a moisturizer, but I do love a moisturizer. I love the Inky List, the Bioactive.
I haven't used that one.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah. Oh, that is nice.
That is so good.
That's a really great texture.
That's a great texture. And then, that's a lovely SPF as well. That's Altruist. That's the anti-redness one. It's almost got like a sort of, that's created by a UK dermatologist. It's almost got a sort of soft focus primer effect to it as well if you suffer from redness.
It's green.
Yeah. And
I did not expect that.
You're probably not going to have any redness in your face, are you?
Oh, and then it changes color.
Yes. So it breaks. So it's for rosacea prone skin. There's something about it that's a bit soft focusy that I quite like.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This has a nice dry down.
I do love an American SPF. I know everybody's really disparaging of them, but I love Neutrogena Hydro Boost.
I think that
I don't think your filters are as good as the EU.
No, there's no doubt about it.
But that technology, that JK technology with Hydro Boost is amazing.
We can still make some nice ones though.
Yeah, you really do. And then at night, the cream cleanser, obviously, it's got to be a retinaldehyde. Yeah. It has to be a retinaldehyde. I love Geek. Do you know Geek and Gorgeous?
I used theirs before. It's really nice.
It's gorgeous.
And really it's very nicely priced.
If somebody says to me, if you could choose one retinaldehyde, I would choose the Medik8 Cristal Retinol 24 because it's not quite the strongest on the market. There's an American brand called GoTo that has a 0.25%. I don't know who creates this, but it's lovely. If you're on a budget, Geek and Gorgeous 101, that's the A game. And then I've got I've got acids in here. I do love the Sunday Riley Good Genes lactic acid.
You know what? I feel like glycolic acid and lactic acid used to be the heroes in skincare, and then they had kind of a falling out. Do you think they're coming back?
I tell you what I think. I think if you use a retinoid regularly, the need for an acid is so much lower because you're speeding up your skin cell turnover. Your skin will naturally shed. If you're using a microfiber cloth, do you really need to peel? But every so often, once a week, just sleep for me, a lactic acid, as I'm older, my skin's drier.
Yeah.
And then if my skin's really grey or I've been unwell, I do love The Ordinary, that peeling solution, which is 2% BHA, 30% AHA.
I have never used that, but it scares me.
I don't think it would suit your skin.
Because
if you're sensitive, I mean, I don't put I get my perioral dermatitis here. So I just can't put it there.
Yeah.
And then I've got some body products in. I've got more moisturizers and stuff like that. I've got body products, right?
Let's talk about how important body care is.
Oh, it drives me mad that body care is so average on the high street.
I know.
I just don't want something that's thick and ungent and oily and doesn't sink in. And then you have a shower and your skin goes back to normal.
I know.
So I'm going to talk about Dove, which is the unscented solid cleansing bar, which I use on my, what do we call it in the UK? We call it your pits and bits.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yep.
So I can't use anything fragranced down there. This is essentially not a soap. It's a solid, super fatted, solid cleansing bar unfragranced. But please, people, can we ask more of our body products? This is just the best texture.
That's actually what, so second
So this
holy
is
grail.
the Naturium Retinol Body Lotion. What is it, 0.2%?
You know what? We don't put the amount because it's encapsulated, but it's probably equivalent to like a 0.05%. But even that doesn't really do it justice because it's encapsulated, so it's probably stronger.
But also what I love about your body products, and I'm not an oil person and I'm not a body butter person. This, it goes on, it sinks in. You have a shower, but afterwards your skin is still more hydrated and smoother than it was before you had a shower. So it's not just sitting on the surface of the skin. I recommend this to everybody. And then I've got one thing here. Do you love a hypochlorous solution as well?
Oh my gosh. I don't know why. Suddenly, right? It just feels like because of Tower 28, I feel like they made it so popular. And
I didn't know Tower 28 did one. Tower 28 aren't huge here.
Right.
You used to have them here. So this is Clinisoothe, this is Skin Purifier, and this is a hypochlorous solution, which smells a little bit bleachy because essentially that's what it is.
Yep.
But it's in a format that can be used on cuts, grazes, face. You'll see it when in the UK, this brand in particular, when you go and have Botox, they'll cleanse your skin and then they'll spray it down before they do any injectables and stuff like that. You can spray it on straight after having laser treatments. So I just think I clean my makeup brushes with it. If I get perioral dermatitis, if I get that early tingle, it goes straight on.
Same.
It just works.
Even if I'm getting breakouts, you know what I also use it for? This is like for the lazy people. After I have a workout, and if I'm going to go do like
everywhere.
Yeah, I'll put it on I'll spray it on my back. Exactly.
Yes,
all of it just to prevent the breakout if I'm going to not hop in the shower immediately after.
See, basically my principles about what works for skin, everything is learnt from dermatologists. Like they're my go-to people, consultant dermatologists. What do you call them in America? You don't call them
board certified.
Board certified derms who then point on TikTok. I've learned everything from them over the years. They're the one person they're one group of people that I trust implicitly. And I always feel that if they're interested or recommending something, then I need to do a deep dive. And that's when I discover what works and what doesn't.
Yeah, I love that. One last piece of skincare or cosmetic procedure advice before we wrap it up.
Less is more. I genuinely feel less is more. And that might seem like a lot of products, but I've got different steps at different price points. And I genuinely think that now you're in Boots, you can get everything you ever wanted in Boots. I'm so excited for you. That's brilliant.
Thank you.
I'm going to go in and film and champion you.
Oh my God. Thank you, Nadine. Thank you so much. This was such
pleasure.
A fun conversation. Where can people find you?
They can find me at Nadine Baggott, NADINEBAGGOTT. It's the ugliest surname in the world, but there is only one of me. It rhymes with maggot.
You know what? I will never forget that.
It really does. That was my nickname. Oh, that's the number 7 peptide. That was my nickname at school.
Oh, well, those people are probably looking at you now and being like, well,
she looks good, that maggot. Mm-hmm. It's because skincare works.
I love that. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of My Life Online. If you enjoyed this podcast, make sure to follow, rate, and review, and also share it with a friend so we can continue making great episodes for you. You can also find me on social media. I'm at Susan Yara, and if you enjoy beauty, especially skincare, make sure to check out my YouTube channel, Mixed Makeup. I'll talk to you soon.